You ever take a picture with your phone, look at it, and just go, wow, how did it get that good? We all do it, but have you ever really stopped to think about how this tiny little device in our pocket is creating these absolutely incredible images? Well, let's get into it. I mean, the quality we get from our phones now is just, it seems impossible, right? We're talking sharp, vibrant photos that honestly look better than what professional cameras were doing just a handful of years ago. It feels like a modern miracle, but it's not magic. It's actually a really fascinating puzzle. And that really brings us to the core question here. How are we getting a photo that looks this good, this professional, when it's coming from a camera that's literally paper thin? I mean, based on all the laws of traditional photography, this shouldn't work. The physics are all wrong. And for a very long time, it didn't. Okay, so to really appreciate the genius solution, we first have to understand the problem. We have to talk about the huge physical hurdle that engineers were up against. All right, think about a big, chunky, professional camera, a DSLR. Its secret sauce is a massive sensor. And that sensor is what captures the light. A bigger sensor is like putting a huge bucket out in a rainstorm. It just catches way more light. And light is the #1 ingredient for a great photo. Now your smartphone sensor, well, it's tiny. We're talking smaller than a pea. So if that big camera has a bucket to catch light, your phone has maybe a thimble. It's just not catching very much. And that physical limitation, that is the core challenge. And you have definitely seen the effects of this pea-sized problem. Ever take a picture in a dim room and it comes out all grainy and fuzzy? That's digital noise. And it happens because the sensor is just starving for light. Or what about when you try to shoot a sunset and either the sky is a big white blob or the ground is a black silhouette? That's a lack of dynamic range. The tiny sensor can't handle the super brights and the super darks all at once. So if you can't make the hardware bigger, and you can't, not if you want a thin phone, what do? Well, you make the software smarter. This is where the hero of our story comes in, a camera that actually thinks. And this quote just nails it. The engineers realized they had hit a wall with physics. They couldn't win the optics battle. So the solution was to pivot, to use the massive processing power inside the phone, to computationally build a better image than the lens could ever capture on its own. This entire approach has a name. It's called computational photography. And here's the main idea you gotta grasp. Your phone isn't just passively taking a picture. No way. It is an active participant, using incredibly complex software to construct the final image from the ground up. So how does this computational magic actually work? Let's pull back the curtain and see what's really happening in that split second after you tap the shutter button. Okay, here's the first big secret. You're not taking one picture. The instant you hit that button, your phone silently captures a whole series of photos, a rapid-fire burst, all in the blink of an eye. This kicks off a wild 3-step process. First, it captures that burst, but it does it smartly, at different exposures to get different information. Second, the phone's processor analyzes every single frame, picking out the best parts of each one, the sharpest details from this one, the best colors from that one. And finally, it merges all of those perfect little pieces together into one single, frankly, superior image. And the result of all that work is dramatic. This whole merging process directly attacks the weaknesses of that tiny sensor. Digital noise gets smoothed out, making your photos way cleaner. And that dynamic range problem, it gets a massive boost, which means you can finally capture the bright blue sky and the details in the dark foreground, all in one shot. But believe it or not, it's still not done. Once that beautiful merged image is created, a final, incredibly powerful layer of software intelligence kicks in to add the finishing touches. This is where machine learning takes over. Your phone uses AI algorithms that have been trained on literally millions of images to scan your photo and figure out exactly what it's looking at. It recognizes faces, landscapes, pets, you name it. And once it understands the picture, it can perform these little miracles. It can instantly unblur a face if someone moved a little bit. It can intelligently sharpen the fine details in a person's hair or the texture of their clothes. And this is the secret behind portrait mode. The AI identifies the person in the front, and then it computationally creates that blurry background effect. It is a pure software trick that's designed to mimic the look you get from a super expensive professional lens. So the real takeaway here is that we have to completely rethink what our phones are. It's not just a camera anymore. It's an incredibly powerful imaging computer that, oh yeah, also happens to make phone calls. And all this leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. When a computer is doing so much of the work, building, tweaking, and perfecting the final image, what does that mean for the art of photography? Are you still the photographer? It's something to chew on the next time you capture one of those impossible shots.